our lead comes from the sidelines in a story that has bounced all over sports media circles. Fox Sports' Charissa Thompson has created quite the hullabaloo. And she is under attack at this point. What did she do? What did Charissa Thompson do? Now, if you're not heard, because maybe you're not worried about this, you're not in the sports media. So Charissa Thompson has a bullseye on her back among sideline divas. This is after she admitted that in the past she would just make quotes up from coaches during NFL games. And in fact, just to prove I'm not making this up, in a recent podcast interview, I believe it was the Pardon the Take. I think that was the name of the podcast. I don't know what that is. But anyway, here is Charissa Thompson. And listen, this is the audio that everyone's talking about. Take a listen.
And I've said this before, so I haven't been fired for saying it, but I'll say it again. I would make up the report sometimes because A, the coach wouldn't come out at halftime, or it was too late. And I was like, I didn't want to screw up the report. So I was like, I'm just going to make this up because first of all, no coach is going to get mad if I say, hey, we need to stop hurting ourselves. We need to be better on third down. We need to stop turning the ball
Pressure
over.
the quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. and do a better job of getting off the field. They're not going to correct me on that.
Right.
So I'm like, it's fine. I'll just make up the report.
Oh, my God. Now, that led to fire and brimstone. Dante's Inferno. Sodom and Gomorrah. the reaction, oh, my God. I laugh. A bunch of my buddies in the media.
Please, no.
We've been exchanging the most ridiculous reactions to that pretty benign audio, but it was full condemnation and vilification of Charissa Thompson. So let us discuss. You heard the audio. Charissa Thompson causing outrage in media circles by saying that she just made up NFL coaches' quotes at halftime while working the sidelines. Did she violate, Charissa Thompson, the broadcasting oath? So I have Wienermobile, Ron Burgundy, and IKEA. And we will combine all of these things together, and we will make an angel. Because remember, angels fly because they take themselves lightly, and there's a lot of sideline reporters that do not take themselves lightly. So, number one. Yeah. So to answer the question, did Charissa Thompson violate the broadcasting oath as someone that spent my entire adult life in broadcasting? No! I'm shaking my head. No! It's so stupid. This story has been wildfire. Wildfire. It has been spreading round and round and round and round. Everyone's indulging in the story here. The sports media world's picked up more fuel. And I gave a guffaw. I've been laughing as these reactions have come in. And when I first saw it, I thought, man, this is hilarious. Because Charissa Thompson said the quiet part out loud. She took you inside the Wienermobile to the Oscar Mayer plant, and there's a bunch of hot doggers, and here's how we make the sausage. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! There is no Hippocratic oath for broadcasters. There are plenty of scumbags that work in broadcasting, every man, woman, and child for themselves. But this particular story, it reminds me of my days when I started out. I started in radio when I was 19 years old. I was a radio stringer, which is a radio reporter, and I needed audio. All I was there to do was get sound bites after. I did in-game reports, but mostly it was after the game. They used to have these things where you'd call into radio stations before the internet and give score updates. And so that was my gig, and I got paid to do it. And not very well. I made crappy money, but I made more money for the post-game audio, so I had to go in the locker room and interview players, which I hated. Because the players didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. Smells, disgusting. The players are a-holes, but I did it because I needed the money. And it was a way I could go to the games for free. So I'd go in these locker rooms, and I'd have to interview guys on their team lost. Nobody wants to talk when they lose. Complete schmucks. And on more than one occasion, as we go back in the hot tub time machine, more than one occasion, I would go up to a player and the player would say, just, whatever you want. Pick a cliche. I don't care. And then I would have to explain to the player that I work in audio and I need you to say the cliche. And I'll never forget, there's a great sports writer named Terry Johnson. He covered the Dodgers. He passed away years ago, but a very funny guy, the scribe. And what he would do is he would just go up to the player who was grumpy after a game and say, all right, here's a quote. If you don't give me a quote, I'm just going to use a generic one, and I'm going to give you options. And then he would go like ABC 1, 2, 3. We just got to stick together. It's only one game. It's a long season. I believe in this team. Like any of those boilerplate responses. Right? And I have very fond memories. So when I saw this, I was like, well, I mean, as she said, Charissa Thompson, she went generic. She went generic because she knew, she was fully aware that nothing was going to come of this in terms of anger and outrage and all that among the coaches. So pressing on from that, why have these sideline reporters' reactions been so unhinged? Because that's the part of the story as we go down the topic tree, which I get a kick out of. Now, some of my favorites here. Tracy Wolfson of CBS said of Charissa Thompson, this is absolutely not okay. Laura Oakman said she was devastated by this story. Michelle Tafoya, who's now out of broadcasting, said it was professional fraud. My favorite, though, was Andrea Kramer, who I don't think is doing anything these days, but she said she was sickened. She was sickened. What a dummy. All right, now there are others, but you get the point. So again, why have these sideline reporters' reactions been so unhinged? Part of it is attacking the sisterhood. And you also take yourself way too seriously. And we're in an era where if you play the victim, you're celebrated, right? Oh, you're the victim here. A sideline diva on sideline diva crime. And there is a bit of cosplay involved. A bit of cosplay. It's like Ron Burgundy from Anchorman. Well, that escalated quickly, right? That really got out of hand. And it's like these people are living in a glass case of emotion. And I get it. This is their life's work. And it's yet again been exposed as completely unnecessary and pointless. The fact that Charissa Thompson was making up quotes on NFL broadcast, and A, none of the coaches cared. None of the coaches called her out on it. B, nobody watching said, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right. The only reason we know about it is because she self-reported herself. That's it. And that is a dead giveaway. It's a dead giveaway. 95% of sideline reporting is fluff. It is. Right? That's it. Occasionally, we do get a player that just explodes and says something ridiculous. But that I don't even know if that's 5%. And that has little or nothing to do with the actual reporter. It's just having to put a microphone in a guy's face when they've just played poorly, something along those lines. All right, final point. So imagine, if you will, a world abroad, far, far away. Imagine, if you will, a world where there are none of these sideline reporters. Like, I've actually done the job. Years ago, if you followed what I've done over the years, you probably haven't. You don't know who the hell I am. But I, for one day, was the sideline reporter in Norman, Oklahoma for a network radio broadcast of the Oklahoma Sooners and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And it was awesome, right? It was great. I'd never been to an environment like that. But it was also the easiest gig I've ever had. And it really was. It is so much easier than doing a radio show or even a TV show. It's just not even close. And so, listen, what would happen if you got rid of all sideline reporters? It would actually, in many ways, improve the viewing experience. And I don't want to step on any toes. I have friends who are sideline reporters, and I think that some of these people who do this are very good at what they do. It's just not something that I really care about, right? So, as the players like to say, it's not personal. It's just reality, right? That the sideline report I often find intrusive. And it's stuff I can find if I want on X or Wikipedia. It's just like time filler, right? And For the 1%, when I say 1%ers, I'm talking about like friends and family of the sideline reporter. They love it. It's essential. It's wonderful. But for 99% of the viewers, it's like going to IKEA and saying, do I want drapes or blinds at IKEA? Which one do I want? It's window dressing. That's it. It's window dressing is what it is. But I would like to thank Charissa Thompson. I want to thank these other women because you made me laugh all day with all of these ridiculous reactions. This is so stupid. It's so great. You have made my day. You're all comic geniuses. Thank you a million times.